Have you ever tried to imagine when you try to browse a website, what really happens behind the scene? That is where DNS comes in. DNS is actually the abbreviation of Domain Name System. So the DNS is essentially the phone book of the internet. So when you type a website, for example, afrobenelux8.com into your browser, the DNS translates that domain name into an IP address that computer uses to identify each other on the network. So let's try the following. Let's say, for example, I want to type the following address, that is afrobenelux8.org. So when I hit enter, there is some process that goes behind the scene that actually you don't see. So what happens is the following. When you type afrobenelux8.org, it's going to actually, your computer is going to send a request to the server that is hosting afrobenelux8. So when the request is received from the server that hosts afrobenelux8 for the first time, then that server is going to actually send back the IP address of afrobenelux8 to your computer. So let's try the following. Let me go to this domain name domain name finder, and I enter, for example, let me just enter afrobenelux8.org, and I hit find IP address. So what it's going to do is going to search for the IP address that is associated with this domain name. Here you can see the IP address. So if I go to the command prompt also, and I enter the following, ns lookup, and I enter afrobenelux8.org, this is what is going to happen. Now let's compare the IP address and see. You can see the IP address 83137.145.159 matches with this IP address. So now the domain server is going to send the IP address to my computer, and my computer is going to actually translate that IP address back again to the domain name, which of course you're not going to see the IP address actually on your screen, but behind the scene, this is actually an IP address. So you can also use Wireshark to actually see all these behind the scenes. So if let's open Wireshark on this device. So here we have Wireshark, and let's just wait for our internet adapter to get started. So let's start the capture of our internet adapter. So here we can just right click and then start capture. So by starting capture, you can see a lot of information is actually being received right now from the internet, and also everything that's going on my device that has to do with TCP, UDP, IP address, and more. So if I go to, for example, let me just close Afro Benelux and then try to start. Let me just go for kelvglobal.com and then just hit a specific site and then minimize this. And now let's try to actually stop the capture. So when we stop the capture, you can see that there's a lot of information going actually behind the scene. So what I want to do right now is to actually search if I can see the Kelv Global will just open. So let me just enter DNS, and here in DNS you can see we have, for example, we have Kelv Global, and from the DNS you can actually just click on the domain name system. Here you can see the transaction ID, you can see the query, you can see the type. It's type A, that is a kelvglobal.com, and then we can actually go for more info. For example, we have the users data protocol, also have the internet protocol. So you can see we have a lot of information we can actually query behind the scene. For example, we can also have our IP version 6 IP address. And then when we scroll down, for example, you can see more information about different websites. For example, every single website, for example, when you try to type Kelv Global, is going to go through kind of what we call trace route. So every route it actually goes through will also be listed here in this Wireshark capture. So you can see that with Wireshark, you can capture a lot of information about what is going on behind the scene. So you can actually get a lot of information about Wireshark on the internet. But for this video, I just want to show you what happens behind the scene when you actually try to request or try to go to a specific website and then type your website info, and then how it actually goes from you typing it and then retrieving the IP address and then giving you back all the requested information. And lastly, you can see the response time was just in 390 seconds. Thank you very much for taking your time to watch this video. My name is Kelvin Johnson, and please don't forget to like and subscribe for more IT related video.